WPSD Local 6, your breaking news and weather authority. This is Local 6 at 5.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
And as you just heard, Kyle Rittenhouse found not guilty on all charges by a Wisconsin jury today. He was facing 5 charges after he shot and killed 2 men, injuring a third during a protest last summer in Kenosha, Wisconsin. The jury sided with the defense in that he only pulled the trigger of his assault rifle in self-defense after he was attacked. Rittenhouse says he came to the city to help protect local businesses and to offer medical help. The incident led to several more days of demonstrations in Kenosha and across the country. His attorney spoke afterwards, continuing to stress that it wasn't a crime to be where he was doing what he was doing.
He had as much business being there as any of the demonstrators or the rioters. You know, if we all would just mind our own business a little bit, I think we'd all be better off. And it's a hard lesson to learn.
Outside the court, the verdict was met with anger by some. Others welcomed the decision. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers has deployed 500 National Guard troops in anticipation of post-verdict protests. Jacob Blake's uncle was outside demonstrating. The Rittenhouse incident happened at a protest over the shooting of his nephew.
That's ridiculous. Self-defense is somebody enters your house and they're doing you wrong. He was out on the street. He was a provocateur, and he had these people come to him. Check the videos, they don't lie.
President Biden commented on camera saying that he stands by what the jury concluded, but he later released a written statement saying he's angry and concerned. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker said the victims deserve justice and, quote, "We must do better than this." Today's decision means Rittenhouse cannot be tried again for the same crimes. Tracking another high-profile case, closing arguments started Monday in the death of Ahmaud Arbery. The jury is also expected to begin deliberating that day. 3 men are on trial, also saying they acted in self-defense when shooting and killing the young man out for a jog. However, it was revealed in court Arbery did not brandish any weapons.
Now, your weather authority first forecast.
Beautiful Friday. Cold, though. Temperatures are already in the 30s across the region. Here you see the sun is setting. Check out the top left of your TV. View from Broadway. Pretty nice. We've got some high, thin cirrus clouds moving in at the current moment. Temperatures this evening will be going down quickly. Not as cold, though, as this morning. We'll be at 35 by midnight, 34, 3 o'clock in the morning. Lows at about freezing as we start off for Saturday morning. Tomorrow it will be dry tonight as well. Radars are quiet, not expecting rain tonight or tomorrow. Here's your forecast planning out your Saturday. If you're a hunter going out tomorrow, winds will be light out of the southwest, 5 to 10 miles an hour. Pressure will be steady. We're going to call it filtered sun for your Saturday. A blend of mid to high level clouds. Temps again starting their freezing. 42 by 9 o'clock in the morning, 52 by noon. So just a few degrees warmer than today was. And the breeze will really start to kick in towards the late morning and the early afternoon at about 10 to 14 miles an hour. We've got rain on the way for Sunday. We'll go through those details in just a few minutes.
Big news today for many Americans in the fight against the COVID pandemic. The FDA has granted approval for the use of booster doses of both the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines for everyone over the age of 18. They did not need a recommendation from its advisory committee before making that call. The CDC's Vaccine Advisory Committee also signed off on it today. Trials show boosters are safe and are 95% effective against symptomatic COVID-19. Now remember, this is already in place in Kentucky as Governor Andy Beshear signed that executive order this week, clearing the way for everyone 18 and older. COVID cases in school districts continue to rise. This as Fulton City School District canceled in-person classes for the 2nd week in a row. They are not the only school district seeing a spike in cases. McCracken County Public Schools is also experiencing more positive COVID cases and quarantines. Local 6's Kelly Anderson joined us. So Kelly, how many students are out because of COVID?
Todd, this week McCracken County has 38 students who are positive with another 40 students quarantined. McCracken County Schools along with Paducah Public Schools met with health leaders this morning. They will not require masks next week. Masking depends on the incidence rate map for McCracken County. Right now they're in the orange zone. If it changes to the red zone, Superintendent Steve Carter says they will discuss universal masking.
We hope that we don't see that. We hope what we see is a plateau and a trend back to what we saw, in late October and early November.
Carter also encourages students and parents to be responsible over Thanksgiving break, but they're concerned cases will continue to increase during the break. Todd?
All right, Kaylee, thank you. Ahead at 6, the efforts one local school district's focused on to reduce the number of students who get COVID. Happening now, Paducah Public School students have the chance to get their first dose of the COVID vaccine. The district is holding a vaccine clinic right now at the middle school. There's still time if you want to take your kids. There's no appointment needed. They just need to be a student in that district. And if you need a booster shot, there's a clinic for you too. That one is tomorrow at the Jackson County, Illinois Health Department. It's from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And note, they'll only be administering booster doses of Moderna. Appointments are required, so if you plan to attend, be sure you do that beforehand. In politics, the House passed President Biden's broad $1.9 trillion bill. Only 2 Democrats voted against and no Republicans voted to pass the measure. Friday's vote was supposed to happen Thursday, but GOP leader Kevin McCarthy stalled with a record-breaking marathon floor speech overnight. Still, the bill was passed and Democrats say it's a big win.
This bill is monumental. It's historic, it's transformative, it's bigger than anything we've ever done. We have so much agreement within the bill.
The social and environmental bill includes significant changes in taxes, health care, energy, climate change, education, housing, and family services. It'll now head to the Senate, where it's expected to face some tough issues. Kamala Harris briefly became the nation's first female president today after Biden transferred power while he was under anesthesia for a routine procedure. Harris was officially in the acting role for an hour and 25 minutes, according to the White House. In addition to becoming the first female president, she also became the first South Asian president. And during that nearly an hour and a half, she worked from her office in the West Wing. A situation like this is routine for a vice president to assume the powers temporarily. New at 5, 3 people were shot today in the parking lot of a Colorado high school. It happened in Aurora, about 3 miles from the location of a different high school where 6 people were shot on Monday at a park right outside. And 2 of today's victims were taken to the hospital, while the third took themselves there. All 3 are minors, and none of the injuries were believed to be life-threatening. No word yet on a possible motive or suspect. Other news of the day, Louisville police are investigating an officer-involved shooting. That happened early this morning after a suspect walked up to a construction worker and shot him. Police say that suspect then walked up to a police car and fired at the officer inside. The officer ended up chasing the suspect and eventually shot him. The wounded suspect and the officer were taken to an area hospital for treatment. The original victim eventually died. His family speaking out about the gun violence problem.
Put the guns down. Be a man, be a woman, fight with your hands. You know, you ain't got to take nobody's life. That's a punk way out. You ain't got to do that. And y'all took a loved one. He's got 5 kids. Lots of aunties, his mother, everybody. And y'all took him for what? For nothing.
KSP has taken over the investigation into what happened. In St. Louis, 2 workers with the Missouri Department of Transportation were hit and killed yesterday. The workers were restripping a lane with cones blocking off the lanes behind them, and the car went through the cones and hit the workers directly. Another worker seriously injured and remains in the hospital. The driver was injured and is cooperating with investigators. As we head into a busy holiday travel season, it's important to make sure we're safe on the roads, not just for ourselves, but also those working on the roads. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet suggesting an alternate route around construction on I-24 this weekend. The work zone is between mile marker 55 and 65 in Caldwell and Trigg counties. The work zone has restricted lanes of 2-way traffic on the eastbound lanes, separated by a barrier wall. An alternate route would be going toward Nashville near Calvert City, taking I-69 south to Draftonville, exit 47, then proceeding on US 68 east. And in Jackson County, Illinois, they're kicking off their Thanksgiving campaign for safe and sober driving. The campaign runs from now through the 29th after the holiday weekend. They say it's one of the busiest times on the roads. If you plan on celebrating with alcohol, first and foremost, make a plan for a sober ride before you go out. And if you didn't do it that beforehand, call an Uber or family member to get you home safely. If you see a drunk driver, pull over safely, call 911. And finally, don't forget to wear your seatbelt, as it's the best defense against an impaired driver. Looking ahead, we're down to 5 high school football teams still alive in the playoffs. Sports Director Jeff Bidwell joins us now with one team that's used to playing deep in November.
That is right, Todd. Tonight, the state quarterfinals, and for the 23rd time in the last 24 years, Mayfield has a chance to get to the state Final Four. Our ghost of Christmas past, Blake Sandlin, back with us at War Memorial Stadium in Mayfield. And Blake, after a late season hiccup, the Cardinals look like the Mayfield team we're used to seeing.
Yeah, that's right, Jeff. After losing to Murray last year in the second round of the playoffs, the Cardinals lost again to Murray last year on October 22nd. Now, you start to wonder after that, were they due for another early playoff exit? But last week, Mayfield got another crack at Murray in the second round of the Class 2A playoffs, and it was an early knockout. The Cardinals put a running clock on the Tigers in the first half en route to a 55-6 win over Murray and punching their ticket into tonight's quarterfinal matchup with Greene County. So the key tonight for Mayfield against Greene County, if they hope to come out with a win, stopping the run. Greene County has thrown the ball just 69 times this season. That's less than 6 passes per game. So it's all going to come down to their ability to slow down that running game. The game here kicks off behind me at 6:30 tonight. We'll have highlights and reaction tonight at 10. Jeff, back to you.
Blake, thank you. Coming up at 6, we'll take a look at the rest of tonight's action for a state quarterfinal edition of Gridiron Glory.
All right, it's going to be cold out there for tonight, but typically so for the end of November. We're going to be talking about some weekend rain chances that are going to be returning. It's all coming up in just a few minutes.
Plus, Judge Executive Clymer files for re-election. What he has to say about his campaign and what he feels he accomplished during his first term. We'll be right back.
Your breaking news and weather authority with Todd Faulkner, Jennifer Horbelt, and meteorologist Noah Berggren. You're watching Local 6 at 5.
New at 5, McCracken County Judge Executive Craig Clymer filed today for re-election. Afterwards, he spoke to the media, touting his accomplishments during his time in office, including working closely with the city of Paducah and bringing the sports complex to the region. He says despite COVID, it's been a good past year and a half, and he wants to continue that moving forward.
Don't stop the momentum. I just think we're charging forward hard. I work this job full time. You can't do this job and have other business that detracts from the people's business. And so I think that's what makes us so strong.
Clymer will face Matt Moore, who's challenging him for the seat. Moore works locally in construction and real estate. No other candidates have filed that we're aware of.
All right, the few football games that are still ongoing, if you're heading out to them, it's going to be cold, but typically so for the end of November. 35 degrees tonight. Greene County, Mayfield looks good. Perfect football weather. Winds be light as well. Did you get up earlier this morning? I set my alarm for 3 o'clock in the morning. It was a little rough morning having that, abrupt end in my sleep at about 3 in the morning, but it was real worth it. I mean, if you missed it, this is what it looked like. The moon, as expected, went to about 95% red as the eclipse happened, the lunar eclipse. This was from Dave Lyons. This one from Metropolis. How about this from Amanda? And this looks more than it is, but it's really only about 5% of the moon that stayed lit. And remember, the reason why it turned red is because the only light, that is sunlight, that made it to the moon, because last night it was the sun, the Earth, then the moon in that order. So the only light that made it to the moon had to pass through Earth's atmosphere, and after it got scattered, all that was left was red wavelengths of light. Turned out to be a pretty good Friday, though. This was the view from Rebecca, Northwest Tennessee. Foliage still in peak, but I think it's safe to say we're past peak right now. 27 was the morning low today in Paducah, 26 Princeton. Some of the coldest readings of the fall so far. 22 was the morning low today in Carbondale. Right now we're about where we should be. It's 42 in Princeton, 43 Paducah, 46 in Union City, 41 Cape, 43 in Marion, Illinois, and 43 as well in Harrisburg. Highs today stayed in the 40s for the most part as expected. We did get to 50 in Union City, 46 today in Murray, 44 was the high temperature in Harrisburg. Remember, typical daily high right now is 58 degrees. Tonight will be right around freezing, within a degree or two on either side of 32. 30 tonight, Princeton, 33 Murray, 31 in McCracken County. Pick the town out closest to you, near freezing in southern Illinois. Much of the same across southeast Missouri. All right, here's your Friday edition of what you need to know. The notables, we've got Sunday showers, particularly the first half of the day. So that's going to put a little bit of an impediment on your weekend plans. The coldest air of the fall so far, that's coming in on Monday next week. Highs will stay in the low 40s, maybe even the upper 30s. Overnight lows will be in the bottom half of the 20s. That's coming at us from Monday of next week. And I know a lot of you look at weather apps regularly. Hopefully it is ours, the WPSD Radar app. But I know there's a lot of sources for information, especially on your phone. I'm telling you this as your favorite, friendly local meteorologist. Put little stock as of right now in the forecast for Thanksgiving, because there's a lot of moving parts, and depending upon the track of a storm, the variance of what weather we could get on Thanksgiving is very large. So stay tuned for the Thanksgiving forecast at the end of next week. Clouds come in for tonight, here 7 a.m. tomorrow. Again, we'll call it filtered sun tomorrow. A blend of sun and clouds. Here's noon, a slight southwest breeze. We're good and dry tomorrow. Late Saturday evening, it's a very early Sunday morning. We'll get some showers that develop in southern Illinois, and those will move to the south. Here we are, 7 a.m. on Sunday. Showers, maybe some heavy across Kentucky, Tennessee, and the Boot Heel. Not really looking at a lot of thunderstorms, but maybe a brief burst of some heavier rain. 11 a.m. on Sunday, this is with a cold front. By about 1 o'clock, the bulk of the action south of us will start to dry out Sunday afternoon. I think by dinner time, we'll see the clearing line move in. It should be pretty good for Sunday night. So here's the 7-day forecast. 57 tomorrow, more clouds than sun. Morning and midday showers on Sunday. Late afternoon, evening should end up being dry, falling temps. Beautiful blue skies and cold on Monday, 42. 49 next Tuesday. Clouds roll in on Wednesday. And again, as I told you, stay tuned for next Thursday and Black Friday. Very uncertain forecast at this point.
As our nights continue to get colder, it's important to look out for those who don't have the luxury of a warm house or meal. And that's where our Groceries for Good campaign comes in. We're raising money to help 9 charitable groups in our community. One of those is Paducah Cooperative Ministry. The group provides not just meals, but also assistance programs for people who need help paying rent or utilities. A leader with the organization joined us today on Local 6 Today, talking about how the need has been amplified during COVID.
The need has intensified for sure over the past year, and even in the last couple of weeks we've seen the number of requests for food assistance have risen, and I'm finding more empty shelves than I've seen in quite a while over at PCM.
Your donation will help fill those shelves once again. This year, we're only accepting monetary donations. Boxes are set up at all 3 Kroger locations in Paducah, Forthman Foods, IGA and Kevil, and Food Giant in Reedland. Like we mentioned, all the money raised will go to PCM and 8 other groups. For detailed information about the campaign and how to donate by check or PayPal, look for this story at WPSD, local6.com. Looking ahead, tonight on NBC Nightly News, the cost of care leaving Americans in financial ruin. After her husband had a stroke, Sherry Crisp Richmond had to sell their house and empty their 401k just to survive. Some states will pay full-time caregivers through Medicaid under certain requirements, but Sherry didn't meet her state's requirements.
Did you ever expect to find yourself in this situation?
Absolutely not. I was 54 years old. I didn't even have the knowledge of Medicare, Medicaid. What do you do when there's no income? Life was good. Never would have thought to be facing reality smack in the face.
On Nightly News, a deeper look at spousal caregiver income and what couples can do to plan for aging. But first, more to come in our newscast, including a potential boycott of the Winter Olympics by the United States. What President Biden saying about the decision. Plus, a first look at the U.S. Capitol Christmas tree as it arrives in Washington. We'll be right back. 2022 Winter Olympics news now. President Biden has opened the door to the possibility of a diplomatic boycott by the U.S. of the Games. A reporter asked the president during a bilateral meeting with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau if such a boycott was possible. The president said it was under consideration. The press secretary was later asked if she could clarify that remark.
There are areas that we do have concerns. Human rights abuses, you've seen not just in words we've used, but certainly in actions we've taken at the G7 and other sanctions, that we have serious concerns about the human rights abuses we've seen in Xinjiang. And certainly there are a range of factors as we look at what our presence would be.
Psaki said she didn't have an idea on when a decision would be made, only saying she's leaving the president space to make the decision. New at 5, the U.S. Capitol Christmas tree has arrived in Washington for the holiday season. The 84-foot tall white fir was found in the Six Rivers National Forest in northwestern California. Every year, the Forest Service selects one of its 154 national forests to provide a tree for the holiday season honor. The tree will be decorated with handmade ornaments and tree skirts specially created by Californians. And it'll be lit on the west lawn of the U.S. Capitol in early December. And this Christmas, don't forget to look out for the kids less fortunate in our community. We've partnered with Regions Bank to make sure every child has something to open this holiday season. We're asking you to donate new unwrapped toys. Our goal, 6,500 of them. But it doesn't have to be just a toy. Check out these quilts donated by someone in Mayfield. She started making these last year after Christmas and donated 8 of them this year. You can see other toys there in the background too. The drive lasts until December 17th, and we're taking the donations at any Regions Bank location in the area. They have offices in all 4 of our local states. Your donation will be distributed to an organization in town in which you donated. For detailed information, look for this story at WPSDLocal6.com. When we return, some rain chances to talk about as we head into the weekend. Though we'll have a final look at your forecast right after this. All right, back with a live look inside the nightly news studio as Lester Holt puts the final touches on tonight's broadcast, including the big booster question: are we going to need a 4th shot? A health expert weighs in. Well, that story and more just a few minutes away on Nightly News. All right, check out that forecast now, Noah.
More clouds and sun tomorrow, Todd. 57. Sunday will start with showers primarily through the early afternoon, so it's a wet start for groceries or errands or church on Sunday. Drying out in the afternoon, then very cold Monday, Tuesday. Todd will talk more about Thanksgiving at 6.
All right, look forward to that, Noah. Thank you. And thank you for watching Local 6 at 5. See you at 6.